Keelan, you dropped out of college when you were 20. You went in real estate for 2 years, and last month you made just under $300,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Came into each other's kind of, ecosystems or environments via a role play group. Is that right?
2 years ago or so.
Something that me and Jose do where we role play live. You would just go in there. You were taking furious notes. You end up having like this book of like 40 pages of objection handlers and what to say and how to say it. And then you started to deploy that. So talk a little bit about what caused you to even want to join that group in the first place.
Obviously I was younger, so I didn't have like a big sphere of influence. A lot of people who I already know, like, and trust that were of the age where they could do something or they were ready to do something. So I knew cold calling was one of the ways I wanted to actually take action on. And I saw that you guys had that available. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to learn everything I possibly can and just take notes on it. And then I started calling expired, started calling for sale by owners, getting the actual reps in. And I noticed tremendous improvements immediately. And I would just kept taking action. Just as many contact with expireds and FISBOs is what I started off with as I could. And I noticed every day I would just practice chanting the scripts, role playing as much as I could. And it would just be pretty linear progress that I noticed. So it's great.
First, you sought out because you didn't, you're 20, you don't have a big sphere of influence, you don't know a bunch of people. A bunch of your buddies aren't buying homes, they're probably still living with their parents and stuff. So you're like, all right, let me go acquire this specialized knowledge. And you acquired it in a way that it was just available. It was free to you. That role play group is free and still is. Then you did something. As you started to apply it, you took revenue that you began to earn and then began to upgrade and actually pay for additional training or coaching. So talk a little bit about that.
Through that group, they talked about, it was you and Jose talking about a lot about how you had the actual role play group where it was the morning over the phone role play and the listing presentation one. I think it was like $500 for the year. And I was like, okay, that's a no-brainer. It gives you guaranteed practice 5 days a week, twice a day. So that's the first thing I did. And then the other one was like Jose's Morales University. I started paying for that. His like Ask Me Anything Mastermind. And then like you had your group coaching calls. So I was just trying to plug in as much as I could. And it was pretty affordable. But then I was ultimately at a point where I was like, hey, I could just be doing this for free. Why don't I just kind of switch over? And that way I don't have to pay for this and I'm able to get even more proximity to you guys. And then I'm getting an even higher level of coaching and access to you guys, There was a sticking point though, because I remember we were on a call probably 6 months or so before you partnered with us, maybe a little bit longer, where, your good buddy who got you into real estate brought you over to a company. And the owner of that company is a great individual and just a solid person. So you felt like a little bit of conflict. So we hopped on the call with your buddy and his dad, who's also in real estate. And then we were like, wait, what if we could get the broker to come too? Yes, we hopped on a call towards the end and we had kind of already made the decision of like, hey, this is what we're going to end up doing. And then we went back and talked to the broker and she was like, hey, well, we've actually been thinking of, partnering with some type of bigger brokerage anyway, because it was a smaller like boutique firm. And we talked to her and said, hey, this is kind of what we're doing. And then she was like, hey, I'd love to learn more about that anyway, because we were thinking about partnering with a bigger company regardless. So then we actually had her talk with you guys, and she was pretty much on board as well. She saw the value in it as well. That's right. We brought over the brokerage of 40 to 50 agents. So what I love about this, I know you hear me say it a lot, like, hey, whoever adds more value wins. And what was happening here is like you took value that was free, you used it, you made money, you reinvested back in your business, then you wanted to get closer proximity, you did. And as a result, now, not only do you have closer proximity, but all these other individuals do as well, which I think is fantastic. And I think you're like a really good example, a great example of someone who has taken full advantage of what's available. So, I share with people regularly that there's no shortage of like world-class instruction. We've designed an ecosystem specifically to equip agents with everything that they need. The people who get the most out of it plug into it the most, right? And you've been plugging into it the most. And so much so that not only have you taken the specialized knowledge that you've learned in terms of like what to say and how to say it and prospecting and setting appointments and pre-qual, but then you started to incorporate a new lead source, which is probate. And, I talk about it regularly. I do webinars on it and I share with people. I was like 50 to 60% of my business. I would do like 60 plus deals a year from that for a long time, 8-10 years in a row. And now you're starting to see success there, right? I was really hitting the for sale by owners and expireds. Expireds especially, that was like, prior to this, that was probably 80% of my business. It was just listings sold, like almost all of them being expireds. And then when I got into working like probate as a lead source full time, I pretty much dropped the expired thing because it really dried up. And no matter how many times I tried to contact them, I just couldn't even get a hold of people. And then they were just getting harassed so many times, they wouldn't even pick up their phone. So when I moved over to probate, it was the very end of last year when I really started doing it consistently. I think like December or maybe late November. And this year already, I've closed four probates, and I have 5 listings signed that are coming to the market within the next like 30 to 45 days with probates.
I love that, dude. That makes me so happy, bro. It makes me smile. And I know that lead source is market resistant. It is economic, environment resistant. It's administration resistant. 65% of, those homes are free and clear. Motivation's through the roof. The second largest cohort of humans in the United States behind millennials is baby boomers, and baby boomers on average are 65 years or older. The only way to avoid probate is having all your assets in a trust. Only 5% or so of the population has all their assets in a trust. So I think it's going to be a wonderful source for you moving forward. You'll probably do, 10, 15 of those this year, no?
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of them, that was the thing as well, is a lot of them aren't ready to do something immediately. There's a lot of moving parts with the process, obviously. So I've only had a couple that turned over within the first like 30 to 60 days. Majority of them are definitely doing something. They're just a lot further out. I think I'll probably, like you said, probably like 15 or so, maybe upwards of 20, even as they mature towards the end of the year. So
you also, what allowed you, one of the things that allowed you to hit that amazing number of income at 22 years old in a month is you actually got a large commercial deal, which you had never done commercial before, just by doing absentee owner calls, right?
That was when we first started talking about like Enzo Dialer. I jumped on it pretty much right away. And I just got a big list off, I can't remember, it was like PropWire or something. I had it skip traced on Fiverr because I wasn't really tapped in with what's the best way to go about doing that. And I just called a bunch of absentee owners in my county, and I came across one of them, and I talked to the wife, and she was like, yeah, we have XYZ. It was like 8 different buildings that they had. She was like, yeah, we want $10 million. Obviously, I didn't really have much information about, what the condition was, how many units, like what the income or anything was. So I was just like, okay, and just went right into motivation. And then I ended up trying to do it off market with them. And then we got majority of it sold off market and some on market. But then a lot of it came from just the fact that I didn't dismiss her when she said $10 million. And she even told me that later. Hey, you were the only person that didn't dismiss us when we said we want $10 million. So that's the reason why we decided to have a conversation with you about it.
Isn't that wild? For that and that alone, I think that's fantastic. Well, and the other thing, again, because success leaves clues, for those that are listening, you weren't afraid. I find that the people that produce the most favorable outcomes, they implement very fast. So you heard me talk about the Enzo Dialer, which I've been talking about now for, I don't even know how long, a couple of years. And you implemented it right away. You didn't suck your thumb. You didn't wait. You just implemented it. And you're like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And it's a superior tool in the sense that how many contacts it can make in such a short period of time. You started to utilize it. You bumped into this lady. And then you were able to use the skills that you've learned through all the role play and practice. When she said 10 million, you're like, okay, well, if we were able to get you the 10 million, ideally, how soon would you like to sell it? And you just moved on and, ended up setting the appointment and doing the deal. And by the way, you've never done a huge commercial deal like that before.
No.
So you had a willingness to figure it out as you were going and all the way up to the end. I mean, me and you had a conversation about it because they were, towards the end, they tried to negotiate your commissions and stuff. And, we talked about it and it worked out where you ended up getting compensated what you wanted. But all of that is a end result of these decisions that you're making that are compounding. Yeah. Which I think is fantastic, man. Good for you. Chant scripts. I used to sit in a room and do this. You ready? Hi, I was calling about the homeless for sale in the industry. Is this the owner? Great. My name's Aaron, local real estate agent. I'm sure figured out by now your home came off the market as expired listing. I was calling 5 times as fast as I could, 10 times actually, as fast as I could out loud. That, FISBOs, pre-qual, and the listing presentation 1 time, as fast as I could.